So I have the pleasure now of closing, and I'm going to start the closing by thank yous. And most of all, obviously, thank you to our sponsors. I mentioned when I started this, opened the whole conference that they took a risk on us in this first year to see if we held this, would anyone come? But I didn't mention at the time that they were probably also taking a risk of once people came, would they be glad they came? And I'm thrilled at what's happened here, the conversations we've had, the energy that's been around this, the amount of sharing that's happened. And I'm thrilled to really tremendously thanks to our sponsors for helping with that. Also our conference partner, APA, ASLA, ULI, AIA, national and the local chapters, a whole lot of work at the local chapters to make this happen. Really important that all these agencies and professions are engaged. Thank you to all of our presenters on the plenaries and in the sessions. I just love the sessions the last few days and the workshops. I did not see one panel or one speaker that did not knock my socks off, which is not the case in most conferences, I will tell you, as all of you know. This was really great. Thank you to the steering committee to help make this happen, the workshop organizers, the committee organizers, all of the volunteers, students, thank you so much for taking time. For Oregon, we're in trimesters, so everyone is about to be in final reviews next week and final exams the week after. And the fact that they took time to do this, thank you. I really appreciate. A thank you to everyone who's working at Urbanism Next and SCI, Sustainable Cities Initiative. We really pride ourselves in working leveraging academia to make real change happen outside of academia, both as you heard about earlier today from Rebecca, in the research side, but also in the education side, how we teach students and how we engage communities outside of us. We see it as a shift in the way that academia works. There's many people out in the world that are doing this type of work, and we see a huge opportunity and need for academia to be doing these things. And finally, and I'm going to ask for a round of applause here, a thank you to Becky and to Amanda. Can I get them to stand up? And I've had a number of you all come up to me and say, and that I've passed it on to them, how smoothly everything went, especially those of you who have run conferences before, kind of the ease with which everything was put together and the professionalism, the high level. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tremendous. So I couldn't be happier with what we've been able to do these last few days. It's been a long time coming, a long time planning, and the level of conversations I mentioned before has just been fantastic. From everyone who was presenting things, to the questions that were asked, to the conversations that were happening in the hall. It gives me hope that we might actually be able to lean more on the side of actually getting to good solutions around these topics, that we are. I loved Tim's framing earlier of, if we could have done suburbanism next, that I really hope that we are doing something that will keep us from having a whole lot of these negative impacts that we've seen other large kind of changes create. And I really thank you to all of you for doing that. I feel like we've really built a fantastic body of knowledge here and are sharing all that and a great network. And I think that's a really important thing, that people keep sharing and keep talking to each other. We heard over and over again, and this is something that we were thrilled to bring to the conversation and to hear tremendously repeated over and over, this idea that you start with community goals. You start with what you want your community to be, the values that people have within these communities, and that we leverage these emerging technologies to make sure that we do continue those goals and we push those forward. That has to be front and center in everything we do. In reflecting a little bit about some of the conversations that happened, there seems to be these different stages of how we might be approaching these topics. On the one hand is just trying to understand what direction these emerging technologies might go. Secondly is thinking about, okay, what are the universe of kind of potential secondary impacts, which we've talked a lot about. And then we get to more of the, okay, so now what? So what's the universe of actual solutions we might have? And then finally, what might be politically palatable, and what are the political strategies to get these things done? In the different conversations that we've had in the last few days, we're at different stages on each one of these topics. And in the end, we have to get to all four of these, and fairly quickly. And so one of the things that we're really focused on with Urbanism Next, and we'll be focused on throughout this year and at the conference next year, is making sure that we're continuing to push those latter stages of these pieces so that we can actually get to implementation, things on the ground that are going to be able to make a difference. You obviously cannot get there with those earlier stages, but we need to make sure that we're taking this all the way through. This is going to be a yearly conference. We're going to do this again next year. We hope to see you all here. We absolutely want your suggestions on what worked and what didn't work, and what we could be doing better, and who else we need to be bringing to these conversations. I love the ideas early on that we have to absolutely bring labor into this conversation. We're going to be looking forward to doing that. I would love to bring in the financial sector into this. If we're talking about the impacts on development, we have to be talking to them. OEMs, absolutely. Diversity, I think, is a pretty straightforward piece, and was just mentioned again. And political strategy, I think, is an important piece of this as well. For Urbanism Next, where are we heading? We are thrilled, as you all heard on Monday, President Schill announced that we have $1 million of support from the university. We have a number of other projects that we're working on. We want to leverage that to really help build the work that's happening here, work with partners across all these different sectors and across all these different agencies and across all these different geographies to help push this work and this thinking forward. We really are, I hope it's been clear in this, that we're not turf people at all, especially in this topic. We feel like it's kind of an all hands on deck moment. And I hope other people bring that same kind of attitude towards us and that same approach towards us, that we really need to be working together. We really need to be sharing information. We really need to be communicating so that we can actually make the changes that we need to make, have the understanding to then make the changes that we all really need to make. We're going to be, for the conference itself, there's videos that are going to be coming out of all the plenaries. We hope you share those with people who need to start understanding what's happening with this. We're going to have a report which summarizes each one of the sessions, so it gives you an idea of the types of things that are happening and the people who are presenting there, so you can be reaching out to those people or make contacts for people who you think are going to be interested. Obviously, our blog, Urbanism Next, urbanismnext.uoregon.edu. We'll continue to be working on that, and urbanismnext.com. A big push for us right after we're done with this, next week, not right after we're done with this, is starting to work on the clearinghouse, starting to build the armature for that. It's going to be built on the framework that you all have seen. We would love to hear your thoughts about that. What's missing? How can it be better? We see this very much as a draft, and we want to create a clearinghouse that is really a place where everyone in this room and everyone who's not in this room can go to get information about how to think about these topics, what's the latest thinking, what are tools that we can be using to help communicate, and what are tools we can use to help actually put some of these changes into practice. We're thankful to have a grant from the National Science Foundation where we're going to be continuing to work on this network, and we're thinking that we might actually have working groups within that, so if people are interested, we'd love to be hearing from you about that. And finally, well, we've also got some projects that we're working on with cities across the country now on these topics, and we will look forward to not only doing that work, but disseminating that work and let people know how things are going, and we look forward to sharing that with you and also hearing back from you as what we're missing. Finally, we are hiring. Thankfully, thanks to the support that we just got from the university, we will be hiring a couple different positions, which we have yet to write. So if you know people who are in this world, who are in this space, who have this, really want to push this and have the approach that they want to be proactive, put a shoulder into it and share, we would love to be hearing from you about that. So in closing, I think it's really important, as you've heard repeatedly, these are all things we need to deal with in real time right now. It's important, I think, for everyone here to share, kind of spread the word of the thing we keep on saying of pulling back the curtain. Let people understand what these impacts are, these secondary impacts of these technologies, and what kind of effects they might have, so that more people start to become aware of what it is that's happening, and we can build the support, build the knowledge and build the support politically as well to make these changes happen. Expanding the people who are part of this, the disciplines that are part of this, and the department that are involved in addressing this. This is a little bit of a rallying cry, I think. I would think of this conference a little bit of a call to arms, or at least a call to the table, and to get people to start working on this. And I really appreciate everyone having taken so much time out of their busy lives to come here and share and to learn from each other and to push this all forward. Thank you very much, and we'll see you all next year.